What's good, gamers? Good morning, HenricK. How you doing, my man?
I'm doing good as always. I'm back from a vacation and I'm ready to rage.
Hey, let's get it, baby. Welcome to Rage Quit, where we talk about gaming news, industry talk, and so much more. And HenricK and I, we like to have a lot of fun at the top of the show and show you guys a lot of goofy content that's been circulating across the web. And Henrik, I know there's a viral clip that was over the weekend where Call of Duty's been vibrant recently, obviously with Warzone, and there's a gentleman online that has been kind of balling out. And from the last you can recall, what's like your best kill death ratio? Or I mean, well, there is really no kill death ratio in Warzone, but like, what's the max you've probably gotten in Warzone?
Probably if you're talking about Warzone, probably just positive, you like a 1.0 to 1.5.
But I mean, like, how many kills? Like the
Oh, but if you're
top.
talking about kills, then you're looking at probably like a few, 5 to 6.
Okay, you're being fair. See, I was kind
Yeah.
of expecting you to be like, nah, I've definitely laid out the law. I've definitely hit like 10 or 15. I
Well,
think
see,
that's,
Warzone's not the game I go crazy in like that.
yeah, I
You
think
gotta
it's a
give
little
me
bit
like Apex or
Fortnite.
Halo or
Oh,
something.
that's a good point.
Maybe Fortnite,
Halo.
maybe.
Well, there was one cat. He totally went off. He was dropping 72 kills in one Warzone lobby match. Isn't
Whoa,
that totally
72.
insane? We
That
got
is
the
crazy.
Isn't that insane? And if you haven't seen it, gamers, we got a clip of the mayhem that happened.
70, holy shit! Holy fucking shit. Oh, fuck! 70, bro! Oh, fuck! Oh, fuck! This is insane! Nah!
Moving here.
Nah! This is fucking crazy. This is fucking crazy.
Moving here.
This is fucking crazy! No!
Oh, right at the end too.
Talk about the
Oh.
ultimate rage quit of the
Yeah.
year in 2023. Isn't that say 72 kills and then they just go out like that?
No, yes, like that game, just for the viewers that don't know, like there's already a limited amount of people that you can even encounter in that game mode, let alone 72 and win the encounter with 72 of them.
And you know
And
what the
then for
wild
that
part?
to happen, oh.
And get this, gamers, it was him playing as solo in squad mode. So the
Man,
comments were electrifying. Let's just put it that way. Let's do the next
I'm
first
sure.
comment. One gentleman wrote right here, bro's the VPN king. One guy wrote, reckon I could get 72 kills if I was hacking too. Then gets shadow banned before getting the W because players are spam reporting you. Laughing my ass off. Yeah, this dude uses a VPN to get lobbies from South Africa. Wouldn't last in U.S. lobbies. Why the diss for South Africa? Well, why,
Yeah, wow.
why are they so bad? I'm sure there's some great gamers out there. And last, the amount of nobody lizards in the replies with PRs, less than 20 crying about him VPNing and cheating is crazy. And then one guy goes, wait, you for real think he's not cheating? I don't know about you, Henry. I personally didn't think he was cheating.
I don't know. I mean, it could have been a little bit suspect, and the fact that he got that many kills. But
I know he's
yeah.
been clapping back a little bit because I know certain cats are like, now you need to install another camera to show your thumbs at work on the controller or keypad. Does that justify anything, or do you still think he's a hack? I mean, I know that they've been implementing the boys, kind of perks, and that's why the guy's jumping around doing all these super
Yeah,
jumps
yeah.
looking like Titanfall. But
I mean, people are always gonna say one way or the other. Even if he had a camera on his hands, they'd still be like, that's not the real camera. That's someone else's hands.
Yeah,
or
no,
something, you know.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, hey, listen, I mean, there's just people that are better than all of us, okay? Can we just celebrate something that is as badass as this? And until, Activision Blizzard comes out and shadow bans him, then maybe I'll believe it. But for now, I think the verdict's in. HenricK, and I, we're saying it's legit. But you know what I also know is legit? We have a leaked image of Call of Duty 3. Monster Energy. Obviously, that came in early at a liquor store or a Wally World or Target, wherever you go to get your energy drinks. This was originally leaked on Controller. So one guy wrote, "Me when Controller gets a cease and desist for posting leaked material of a non-published game." Like, how could that be the case? If someone already leaked it and then Controller reports it and then we report it, do we get in trouble? No,
no, I don't think
come
so.
on. I don't think that's how cease and desist works.
Yeah.
Got to be funny watching everyone buy this thing and then complain about it nonstop. So freaking true.
Very, very true. Everyone's like, "Oh, it's great," and then 2 weeks in, "Oh, I hate this game."
Exactly. And then just great. We're not getting a Black Ops 2 remastered or Black Ops 5. Has he not understand that, like, ever since Microsoft acquired Activision Blizzard, the old school lobbies have been opening up again on Xbox 360, consoles? Pretty insane to see.
Yeah, that's actually crazy that they even did that in the first place. So
Yeah,
if you want to play Black Ops, go play it right now.
Go dust off that console, right? Also, what's like the most egregious thing you've ever seen at the airport, HenricK?
Oh man.
Even during your travels to Colorado.
The airport, so okay. The thing is, when people come into the airport, they have to go through security, right? And they got rings and bracelets and necklaces, and it's like you got to take all that off and then put it right back on. What are you doing?
Yeah, exactly. Like, baggage that stuff up, or don't be the prankster that puts water on a sex toy. We've all seen those videos. Very, very funny. Where they have to purposely open up your baggage and then be like, "Dog, really? Like, my girlfriend or whatever, the homeboys are messing with you." But one gentleman got very ambitious and probably created a ruckus on this airline. But hey, listen, this is what gamers do when you see them out in the real world. So let's go ahead and take a look.
In an actual airport in full Master Chief armor. How crazy is that? Currently, our biggest obstacle with flying on an airplane in full Master Chief armor is the pilot. The pilot has the authority to kick anyone off their airplane for any reason. So it's really important to be on his good side. How's it going? Are you on this amazing flight right here?
I'm working this amazing flight right now.
Oh, incredible.
Are you familiar with the Halo franchise?
I'm a PlayStation guy.
Any advice for him?
Take another flight.
Time to board the plane.
District 7 customers, welcome aboard for Dallas. Oh, okay.
I love it.
How are you going to fit in the seat? Are you going to fit okay?
That's the question, isn't it? This is the moment, I think, right now.
Hello. How are you doing?
How's it going?
Hi, Kelly.
Hi, Kelly.
Not sitting next to me, are you? I was looking forward to it. I was too, man. My name is Brad.
Jennifer.
Jennifer, good to meet you.
How old are you guys?
Too old to be doing this, probably.
Waste your head.
You know what? I have to say real quick that was heartwarming. That was so wholesome.
Until you sit next to him. Until you find out that
fair.
you're like, what if he's like squeezed right in the middle? And you got your one homie near the window, and then you got one guy that's like luckily to get his feet, kicking in the hallway when you get the chance when nobody's walking by.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, he's taking up a lot of space, but I have to say I love that the pilot was like, yeah, I'm a PlayStation guy.
I know, right?
You better get another flight because I'm not the pilot for you.
Exactly. I don't know. Comments were very active. One person wrote right here, which was, "It's not full immersion until you Halo jump from 35,000 feet." Let's not do that.
I think he'll pass on that one.
Yeah. Hey, let it be known that this aircraft carried Chief armor with no issues. Meanwhile, we get stopped for a kilo over the limit. Hey, what?
That is true because that armor is supposed to be incredibly heavy.
I mean,
it doesn't seem like it, but it really is. Actually,
but when you say kilo, like, what is he talking about? I mean, my first reaction was
are you saying the American thing right now? What is a kilometer?
Yeah, exactly. Or just walk around with the sign saying you're a virgin. Nah, he's not on Virgin
Oh.
Galactic.
Oh,
Uh,
true.
but then, there's people that do crazy things like this, at the airports and the airlines. And there's also people that you might see in the streets. And people are sometimes very ambitious where they choose to game. And there was one individual that went viral online. And I'm going to show you this clip because it just doesn't seem real. Like, how is this even accessible? I have no idea.
Hey, he's using the environment to his benefit. He's putting it up on the tree, getting
Yes.
out. He's touching grass a little bit.
Oh, okay. You've been quite friendly with this right now. I know people were just electrified. They were wondering what's going on. He's like, bro, what does he have that hooked up to? The F is that shit plugged into? MF tree? Who knows, man? Is there solar panels in the tree branches?
It's like how you would power things with a potato, like a clock. You can plug it into a tree and it'll work.
Ah, who would have known? And he's the type that asks a woman, what does she bring to the table? And lastly, this guy is in City Heights in San Diego, California. You also got a husky with him out there. Poor dog. Hey, everybody needs a companion in life, just like everybody doesn't want to miss out on gaming. But that definitely looked like UFC or boxing right there, fight night. I'm not too sure. But hey, I mean, if he was at your local intersection, he's got an extra controller. It'd be kind of funny to see him play multiplayer where he's at. But guys, we got an amazing show for everybody that's tuning in to Rage Quit Video Game Talk Show, where my homeboy HenricK and I talk about gaming news, industry talk, and so much more. So, HenricK, are you ready to set the tone?
Absolutely. You know it, baby. How about you?
Hey, let's get it, fam.
Hey everyone, this is Pause or Repeat. Here we figure out whether a game is really worth your time and money. Today's game is Viewfinder. Viewfinder is a puzzle platforming game from developer Sad Owl Studios. Being that it is a puzzle game, be prepared to spend some time figuring out solutions to the puzzles you come across. But what kind of puzzles, you may ask? Let's dive into that by going over the gameplay. The gameplay of Viewfinder involves you platforming and solving puzzles through various environments. Your end goal is to find a teleporter to the next level. To do so, you'll need to figure out ways to traverse the level using the game's flagship mechanic. Any picture or drawing that you either find or take yourself can be held up and then placed into the world for you to then jump into. Meaning that if there is a door in the picture, you can make a door become reality on the wall in front of you. This creative mechanic is what you'll mostly be using to find solutions in order to reach your end goal in each level. Alongside the creative gameplay, there is a story, so let's talk about it. The story of Viewfinder is definitely not the focus. Put simply, you are thrust into a virtual world in search of technology to save the real world from climate change. Along the way, you'll have some interactions with your partner Jessie and an AI cat named Kate, reminiscent of Cheshire from Alice in Wonderland. Unfortunately, some dialogue is a little cheesy, and some have likened it to the dialogue from Square Enix's Forspoken. The game clearly takes inspiration from Portal and The Witness, though never seems to egregiously copy either of them. But now the question still stands: pause or repeat?
All right, Viewfinder. This game I've been following since so long ago. I've been following the development from the indie developer on Twitter, and I'm actually really excited that it came out finally, because I always thought that from the first time I saw that mechanic of being able to jump into a photo, I thought that was so creative, and it's really something that I feel like only could be done by an indie developer, in the sense of like I think that a AAA studio would kind of maybe not want to even try this in the first place. But they did a good choice in doing that, and then making that the big flagship mechanic as to what kind of carries the gameplay through the entire game. And they took a lot of inspiration from two games that I really loved, which was, like I said in the video, Portal and The The Witness, which is another like wandering around puzzle style game. And I love this game. This game, it's so much fun. You can get in there, you can get immersed. There's so many different art styles you see throughout the entirety of the game, and it's really not that long of a game even. It's about
Yeah.
a few hours, if you have a leisurely pace through it. So that's kind of my thoughts on it, but what are your thoughts, Chris, on it?
I think it's absolutely refreshing for a puzzle game. I don't think there's anything that's compared to Portal in a very, very long time. Like you said, I think just the idea that you get to use images that get to transcend in this amazing universe is something special. And when you get to like rotate images, or let's not even forget, there's like a really cool feature where you could take a selfie of your own character to like go through like barbed wire or cages and etc. And I think those are kind of the certain elements that is gonna get gamers invested in this game. Like personally myself, HenricK, I don't know about you, I'm not crazy about puzzle video games. You know what I'm saying? But this one completely hooked me. And if we were gonna say that Stray was a contestant for Game of the Year last year, well, easily Viewfinder should at least be recognized in Game of the Year category. It won't win it, but it definitely should be praised because it's one of the better indie games of the year, I would say.
No, I agree with that, definitely. And, it's funny you say the whole puzzle genre thing. Puzzle genre of games is actually my weakest genre of games to play. Like, maybe part of it is like if I'm playing a first-person shooter or something, and then a puzzle shows up, like, I'm just not in the mindset to try to figure out something. But in this game, like I had no trouble going in and actually trying to figure out the puzzles. Not to say that the game is incredibly easy. There's a lot of head scratchers in there.
Yeah.
But like I didn't ever really feel like another puzzle. Like come on, man. Like it actually challenges you, but also keeps you invested.
Oh, it does. I love how you can like bring the images to life. Like sometimes you might see an image that has like a staircase, and then you don't have to build the staircase to be like the traditional format, right? You can re-layer the image where it could be like a platform, instead of going up. It's almost like you're at Hogwarts, with the crazy staircases. Like your imagination can go very far. And what the cool thing is, I didn't really necessarily notice any kind of like boundaries where like they're saying, hey, this is off limits, you can't go over here. If anything, you can't use the image to eliminate a portal to go to the next phase. But because Viewfinder makes it seem like you can do a lot of things in this environment, for me, HenricK, it's a definite repeat. You're gonna want to play this game twice.
No, I agree. I think that because there's so many different ways to approach these solutions, like it definitely is a repeat for me as well, especially because, on a second repeat, you can go through and actually do more exploration, find these little collectibles that they hide throughout the levels. And that is another reason to replay the game in the first place if you didn't collect all those in the first time. But I will say there is one thing I will knock it on, and it is that the game is fine, but the storyline, it's kind of it's like not entirely there, which is fine. But the one thing that a lot of people were really miffed about was the dialogue. It was very much like I was saying in the video. People were comparing it to Forspoken, where it's just like, "Whoa, did I really just do that?" Like it's just really cheesy, and it didn't really bother me too much.
I think they wanted to like not focus so much on the story mode because they really wanted you to kind of let your imagination kind of explore. Yeah, you might get like little hidden, Easter eggs to kind of get a sense of like what's going on in the world, but they didn't really want you to take that experience away from you. You know what I'm saying? It's not like an Alan Wake, game where you really want to invest and try to dive deep and really kind of explore. This is not really that style of game. But if you're a puzzle fanatic and you're looking for something that's very relatable to, I would say, Portal, this game's for you.
I can agree with that. And I do agree with the comments about the story not really being fleshed out because they want to leave things to the imagination, interpretation for the audience. And I think that is something to be said as well, honestly. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, honestly, for me, it is a repeat.
Yeah, I mean, the verdict's in. It's a definite repeat. It's very rare that HenricK, the Wreck, and I agree with each other, but it sounds like, I guess on a last note, do you think this would be a contender for Game of the Year? Could this be the
I do
sleeper?
think it would be. Considering Stray got Game of the Year nomination last year, I think this definitely could be. And considering how much like media publication, how many publications were actually reviewing this and like talking about it, I think that it has a chance to even be nominated this year.
Yeah, I mean, hey, listen, we're going to be pulling up this clip, you know, when we go back to November, we're going to be like, see, we told y'all.
We told you.
We told you. But hey, guys, we got an amazing show for everybody that's tuning in live to Rage Quit Video Game Talk Show. So stick around as we talk about gaming news, industry talk, and so much more. What's good, listeners? Welcome to Patch Notes, where my co-host HenricK, the Wreck, and I discuss gaming news, industry talk, and so much more. So let's get it. A new study conducted by the Video Game History Foundation has found that 87% of games released in the United States before 2010 are not commercially available. That is a similar survival rate to silent films. I mean, how totally insane is that? And Axis has a great chart here for everybody to view. And so it says estimated classic game availability by select system. And it's just crazy to think that all historical games, it's like you can't find them. And people are probably wondering, like, dude, what in the world is a Commodore 64? I know, I was born in 93. I was like, I have no idea who's trying to jack on the Nintendo 64. If anything, they jacked it. But a Commodore 64 was a very, very sexy machine. I mean, look at that thing. Holy moly, look at the rainbow over there.
That keyboard probably still feels amazing to type on.
Oh, man. You know how, like, you always get, like, a professor that's constantly trying to tell you, like, hey, listen, look, like, I don't want you guys to be bringing laptops into the university, not in my lecture hall. Well, hey, listen, wouldn't it be funny if you brought in a Commodore 64? Just
Yeah.
like clacking on it.
You know, I actually saw a prank similar to that on YouTube one time, where a guy takes a typewriter in to a lecture hall and starts plonking away at that. So it'd be similar to that, basically.
Yeah, I mean, isn't that really funny? I mean, I know the Video Game History Foundation was also saying that, like, the original Sim, which is wild because I used to have the original Sim as a kid. They're saying, like, that is one of the mini games that is no longer available on any modern video game system. That is, like, totally insane. And what they're saying is, what they're finding out at least, is you pretty much have to get a used copy on eBay, essentially, and then you have to be able to run it on a Windows 95 just to make it even work. And that's what kind of really got people, upset and really wanted to explore the conversation about what is going on with this conducted study. And one of the comments that we got here was, I love this kind of thing. Preserving old games is such an important thing. And for me, the biggest tragedy in all of this are some of the lesser known niche games that people in the future won't get to experience. Also, this is why emulation is so important. Also why piracy exists. Until these game companies make something like iTunes and Spotify, but for gaming, I don't think piracy will die. Hello, we're in the era of cloud gaming. It's here, my guy. And also, something worth looking into is the viability for companies reprinting their old games. I was shocked to learn that Square Enix, despite the numerous ports to other consoles, does reprints of classic PS2 and PS1 games like Kingdom Hearts 2 and Final Fantasy Anthology. The fact that you could still pick up a new copy of Final Fantasy X for the PS2 in 2023 is insane and deserves credit for helping keep the secondary market in check. Yeah, but let's be real, dude. There's Final Fantasy 16 out today. Like, that's a main reason why it's accessible. It's like you go on the PS. Oh yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, but some people think that's not a Final Fantasy game, so.
Okay. You're going there. I see. I wasn't gonna go there. I was just gonna be like, hey, listen, I'm a big PlayStation guy. Everybody knows that if you listen to Rage Quit, and I got the cloud gaming service PS Premium, and they just introduced Twisted Metal, the first game and the second game. And why are they doing that? Hello, listen, Peacock, they got their new series about to come out, so they're gonna be like constantly, feeding it to you. But people, you might have known this cat. His name's Phil Spencer, right? Back in 2021, the Microsoft gaming chief told Axis that he hoped for an industry-wide emulation-based solution to preserving older video games. And will this ever happen with the prevalence of cloud gaming? That's what I'm wondering, Henrik, because if you think about it, video games have probably been around for maybe 50 years? Probably like the early 70s is when we started to kind of see, video games start to get produced out like crazy. And then when you think about silent films going all the way back to the early 1900s, that's like almost over 100-year gap. And we only have about 50 years of video games. And you're telling me that 30 years worth of video games is gone? It's decimated? I mean, if we continue at this track, what's going to happen? If we're viewing film and television and music as cultural history, shouldn't we view video games as the same?
No, I agree. I think that it definitely is history, cultural history that should be preserved. And this really is the argument that a lot of people bring to the table when they defend emulation, which is the process of recreating the hardware, like recreating a Commodore 64, for example, but just as software. So you can actually play those games even without the actual hardware. You can play it on a computer, a modern computer. Now, the thing is, it's kind of like in a gray area, because while making that software, it is actually protected by the law. It is legal to make the software to emulate a system. It isn't legal to distribute copyrighted material like the actual games themselves. So that's where people get into the idea like, okay, well, emulation is probably illegal. It's actually not until you get into that part. But
Yeah.
a lot of people are going to be actually obtaining their ROMs illegally, their games illegally, rather than go into the actual physical hardware and dumping the game themselves to get onto their modern computer. They're going to go to someone who did that already, who is distributing it. And at that point, that's when it's illegal.
Yeah, and I think the most important thing to really explain to all the gamers that are tuning in right now during our patch notes segments, talking about preserving classic games, one of the main reasons, like HenricK just references, it's the technology. As we evolve with the consoles or cloud gaming, etc., like the best way I can explain this to people is, remember when you got your PS4 and you tried to put your PS2 and your PS3 disc inside it, and it would go, hey, it's kicking back. Why won't it read it? It's Sony. Why won't it read it? Oh, it's now backward compatible. It just doesn't accept it. Like, that's the main reason. Like, as we update technology, they don't focus on the older aspects, and that's why you need things like Dolphin emulation, which was really funny because, HenricK, I ignored that story over the weekend, and I thought they were talking about like a goat simulator. I was like, what in the world is Dolphin emulation? So for anybody, for the gamers that have no idea what the hell is going on with what happened with them and Steam and Nintendo, could you explain that to the listening audience, HenricK?
Yeah, so the Dolphin emulator is a piece of software that emulates the Wii and GameCube games. So, you could play Legend of Zelda, any of the games from that era on a modern computer without the actual hardware itself. Now, like I was saying, that's not illegal to make, but there is parts of emulation that end up being illegal in the way that people handle it. Now, they decided, because on Steam, you can put up a lot of software. Like, I download some software on Steam, on the regular. I have Wallpaper Engine, for example. But regardless, so they were wanting to put the emulator on Steam. So what Valve, which owns Steam, decided to do was like, hey, you know what? We do want to help you out with this, but let's just make sure we're in the clear here. Let's contact Nintendo and see what they say about this. Nintendo then said, nope, can't do it. Cease and desist that right now. So then Valve goes and tells the Dolphin emulator team, hey, Nintendo says you can't do this and the reason was because of the fact that the encryption key, in order to actually play the games from the Wii and GameCube era, or just specifically the Wii era they were talking about, is included and bundled with the Dolphin emulator software, which is just a random string of letters and numbers, which you actually can't copyright according to US law, because you can't copyright a string of letters and numbers.
Right.
And they were saying because of this Wii common key being included, it can't be on the platform. And that's when Dolphin Emulator came out and said, okay, you know what? We understand. We're just going to abandon efforts on putting our software on Steam, because at this point, we don't want to stir the
They don't want to
hornet's
get into a
nest.
lawsuit. They just don't want to deal with it. And Steve
Nintendo's-
doesn't want to be involved, right?
Because they would be caught in the middle, yeah. And Nintendo is one of those companies that really has put the foot down when it comes to emulation of their games.
Well, I would also say
like
Valve as well, because
yeah.
remember when we talked about it on the show that they've been kind of cracking down on even indie developers that are potentially using AI-generated assets. They're kind of in a little bit of hot water right now, really kind of trying to delegate what they think is fair for the system and not. And Steam's been around for so freaking long that, like, these sort of things that are not available on their platform doesn't hurt the company at all. So, but it is kind of insane to think that, like, just in the Commodore 64, for example, there's over like 1,500 classic games. Only 129 titles are available commercially today. Like, that's insane. But to me, I argue because of the prevalence of cloud gaming, and now that there's this new spark for remastered games, you'll never see the 85% of classic games anytime soon. And it probably gets really, really messy, because then they have to figure out who actually owns certain assets and whether they die off or not. So we'll see what's good. All I know is, on a final thought, it is interesting that Phil Spencer did come out saying he wants to do a industry-wide emulation. He said this back in 2021. Who knows if this has changed now that cloud gaming is super big now. But we have to remember, they just acquired, PS1. Activision Blizzard. So now they'll be able to have, Crash Bandicoot, Spyro the Dragon. That's just a few that I can think of on the top of my head. Tony Hawk, all those kind of games are now going to be accessible, the classic games, to Microsoft. So now they got a pretty big window of games that they can't support, but will they give that to you all at once? We'll see.
Probably not. But I mean, at the same time, Xbox has been pretty good about backwards compatibility. So in that sense, that's why it's kind of in character for Phil Spencer to be like, I want an industry to, push this emulation software officially so that people can actually play their games.
I feel like that was just a way for him to be like, a subtle stab at Sony for doing exclusive games, which Xbox ecosystem is clearly going to be doing the same thing with Elder Scroll. I just see it happening. It's going to be on the PC and Xbox, and they're going to be all petty, and it's going to be this whole war, words all over again. It's super messy. And that company that I couldn't think about that Microsoft just partnered up with, they're called Antstream Arcade, and they're going to be adding over 1,300 classic video games to the Xbox console, including games from PlayStation, which is totally insane. But HenricK, what in the world is going on with Borderlands? I know they're trying to cook up a new movie, but that's not the hype that everybody's talking about. So go in deep. What's going on?
Yeah, so there's been like stuff going on behind the scenes. They kept saying, oh yeah, we're working on a movie, potentially a TV show for Borderlands, and the fans were like, yes, like this could be a good series, actually, because the Borderlands games are really loved by the fans. Yeah. But the hype, as you were explaining, was actually about a interactive show based around the Borderlands series, similar to what was recently announced with the Silent Hill series called Silent Hill Ascension. This will be Borderlands Echo Vision Live. and it's from this company that does a bunch of interactive entertainment things that they call Miles. It's from this company called Genvid Entertainment, and the Miles acronym stands for Massively Interactive Live Events. So that means
People are like,
basically,
what in the world does that even mean?
yeah, that means basically you'll be watching this, and then it'll get to a point in probably towards the end, where they'll be like, "What do we do?" And then people who are viewing will be like, "Oh, I want them to do this," and they'll send in their responses, and then when the next episode comes out, maybe it's like the next week, they'll be like,
Yeah, it's
"Here's
a
what we're
little-
doing."
It's a little confusing. It's just like how you said, a massively, interactive, live experience. And so, how I kind of like joke with people is, I know the developers at Genvid Entertainment, they get really upset. I know they've been kind of responding to people online, basically on, "Hey, listen, this is not a Telltale." Dude, it kind of is. But what they mean by Miles is massively. So like you said, it's kind of like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, right? You get to vote in the audience, and then everybody gets to vote in all at the same time. They tally up all the results, and then you get to dictate what's in this story. But what's really hilarious is, HenricK, they're bringing this to Eden 6, where Jacobs Corporation is founded on in Borderlands 3. And if anybody has any idea about what Borderlands Echo Vision Live will possibly bring, I know that gamers are not very hyped, to be real with you. One person wrote, "Find it off that they choose to base this off of Eden 6. Even thought it's widely known for being the most boring and tedious part of Borderlands 3 story. It's a cool planet, regardless, but for people who replay Borderlands 3 frequently, I feel this might be oversaturating to a lot of players." Another person wrote, yes, Eden 6, everyone's favorite planet in Borderlands 3. Glad to see them bringing back an underused part of the game that fans massively wanted to see more of. And lastly, Gearbox must be up there on the list of the strangest modern companies. The decisions they make are wild. Sucks they have some of the best talent under them as well. And like you were kind of explaining, it's going to be this massively interactive live experience for people. Borderlands Echo Vision Live will tell the story of 8 hapless tourists who think they've paid for an exhilarating but safe adventure safari on the planet of Eden 6. Naturally, things go wrong, and the group ends up stranded in a town called Grey Waters Junction, surrounded by threats on all sides. Does that excite you? I have no idea, but they are going to be running this platform developed by the company, like we keep referencing, Genvid Entertainment. If this format sounds similar, it's because HenricK said it right at the top. Silent Hill Ascension this is what it is. And we don't have any kind of first look on Borderlands Echo Vision Live. But the best interpretation that HenricK the Wreck and I could give you guys is showcasing you a teaser trailer of what Silent Hill Ascension is gonna be.
Any more than you can escape yourself and the pain you carry. It fills you up like a sickness, a disease that you pass on to everyone you meet, everyone you love. Even your children. Because no matter how hard, how fast, how far you run, your past will catch up with you.
You, HenricK, it kind of looks pretty epic, but people online don't think it looks cool.
The whole thing about this kind of format is they're trying to build the hype around, the series itself. And I think that it honestly probably is not entirely focused on pulling in the gamers who have played the games. I want to say it's probably more focused around bringing in people who haven't played the games, because in a sense, this is trying to tell the story in a gamified way where even your average viewer could sit down and watch an episode and then be like, oh yeah, I want to, add a little input on this like I would with a game, but I don't want to sit down in front of a computer or a TV and with a controller in my hand and play a game. But I could easily just sit down and watch a TV series and then hit a little button on what I want to do next. So that's what I think
mean,
is
it's funny
personally
that
what
you
they're trying to
I
do.
think that's funny that you said that, because like I think it's fascinating that people were celebrating that one Black Mirror episode where you could literally like dictate how the episode rolls. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, how is that celebrated? And then when, the gaming industry is trying to do something kind of fun, kind of something different. I mean, I know people have been getting really, really upset when they're turning their favorite franchise into a live action. And then, okay, they go, okay, we're hearing you. We're not going to turn it into a live action. We'll keep to the same elements of Silent Hill. And then they try to bring you something that's a tad different, not necessarily television, but not necessarily film. It's going to be like choose your own destiny. People are already hating on it already. I think it's funny. I mean, the comments here was Silent Hill series encompasses a lot of the themes other than guilt. You've got a great lore in your hands. Use it, for Christ's sake. Another person wrote, it's a little frustrating that nobody can seem to make a Silent Hill story that doesn't copy Silent Hill 2's formula. But I am excited to see what this multiplayer experience will be. And last, the tone of this feels like it was made by someone who has never played Silent Hill before, but read the Wikipedia page for Silent Hill 2 and was like, yeah, I've seen horror movies. Let's just do that, but have our characters talk about their pain or something. I don't know. I didn't get that vibe, from that teaser trailer. I saw some horror. I could be nervous about Borderlands Echo Vision Live. I mean, I know people are upset that even Kevin Hart was casted. I mean, no one brings up Kate Blanchett or Jamie Lee Curtis. I mean, not very youthful squad, in my opinion. So what are your thoughts? Was this kind of something that you were getting onto, HenricK?
I mean, I'm not super hyped for it, if I'm going to be real honest. It probably isn't going to be something that I'll be, following consistently. Maybe I'll tune in for like the first episode or something, and if it's good, then I'll maybe.
So are you telling me this is going to be worse than Paramount Plus Halo show? Like, come on, give it some faith, right?
That
like,
is a little hard to be worse.
I mean, isn't it kind of harsh to like judge something that's not even out yet?
But that's the thing. Like, so many adaptations of video games to different media end up being complete garbage.
So you sound like Craig Mason.
I'm in the crowd of people. I'm in the crowd of people who kind of want to temper the expectations for things like this and not get their hopes up too high, because then you just end up getting burned at the end. And like, that's kind of what happened with Halo. I was like, oh yeah, they're finally doing it, and then it was crap.
Yeah. No, I hear you.
If it's like that with this, I'd just be disappointed. I don't want to get to that point again.
Kind of get our first idea about what GenVid Entertainment is going to do with Silent Hill Ascension and potentially Borderlands Echo Vision Live. The release date is banking around sometime in November, so keep a lookout, gamers. I don't know about you. I'll be jumping on it, so maybe I have to kind of nudge HenricK a little bit to be like, come on, man. Come on now. Let's check it out. But hey, we might as well move on to the next topic. You feeling it? You ready to rock and roll?
Yeah, absolutely. What's going on with Ubisoft?
Yeah, why is Ubisoft always in the news recently? And it's never for like positivity. This is actually another negative story, which I hate to even talk about because I like Ubisoft. I think they're a great. I think they develop a lot of great games, but it's not about the games this time. It's really about your assets, your purchased items. And what happened is there is a piracy and an anti-DRM focused Twitter account called PC_enjoyer, and recently he shared a screenshot of Ubisoft support email telling the user that their Ubisoft account had been suspended for inactivity and would be, quote, permanently closed after 30 days. Oh, you don't believe me? Well, I got it here for you guys. This is one gentleman responding, to the images that was circulating online, and he wrote, "This is just horrifying. Ubisoft confirms they will delete your account and purchase games if you go inactive for too long. Ubisoft, WTF." Another example of why I'm becoming more and more concerned with the death of physical consoles or games, just in general. I'm saying consoles. Why am I saying that? Say what the tweet says, damn it. Also, this guy wrote, "This bit alone screams phishing scam." And what he wrote as he circled is, "If you wish to keep your Ubisoft account, you can cancel its closure by clicking on this button." And, and it says right there, "We have temporarily suspended your inactive Ubisoft account and we'll be closing it permanently in 30 days in accordance with our terms of use." And one person wrote here, which is that tweet, and that was the guy who leaked the emails, anti-DRM at PC_enjoyer. And that is Ubisoft's support team. Now I know Ubisoft is retracting their own support Twitter account, but we might as well read it because this is what was circulating over the internet. And it says, "Hey there, we just wanted to chime in that you can avoid the account closure by logging into your account within 30 days since receiving the email pictured and selecting the cancel account closure link contained in the email. We certainly do not want you to lose access." And so, there's some funny memes. Pirate Ubisoft games is justified. Anybody ever seen? This kind of reminded me of the scene from the Joker. Joker going rogue.
Oh, yeah.
Accounts offline for 6 months, Ubisoft. Accounts offline for over 6 months. Why do people pirate our games? I wonder what the hell. Why would they want to do that? And lastly, look at my digital games. Hey, physical, young man. Physical. But hey, listen, who the hell is even buying physical games nowadays? This is kind of sad. Hopefully there is kind of a point where we don't have to kind of start chasing around all our games and it could be stored in one hub. But the reality is, with how we've seen going from cable to streaming with, Netflix, Hulu, Peacock, Paramount Plus, Showtime, HBO, doesn't it get exhausting after a while? This will never go away.
No, I think so. I think it's always going to be the thing where, you'll have Steam, Epic, Ubisoft's own store, EA's own store. I'm sure I could come up with a few more at least, but there have been solutions. I think that there's a launcher from GOG, Good Old Games, that puts all your games in one place, but you still have to have all the launchers installed. Yeah. So it doesn't really fix the problem, but just all puts it in one place for you. And I think that it really is a concern when it comes down to it. It's which launcher is going to go to the wayside eventually? Which one's going to stick around? Or am I going to lose my games one day? Or am I going to be able to still play them, 20 years from now? And this is the reason why, people are concerned about the death of physical games being released. Where, even now, you go to the GameStop in your local area, you buy a game, it's in the box, but guess what? Inside the box is just a CD that activates the game.
Oh.
And that's it.
Sounds like you're throwing a stab at Starfield.
Exactly.
Oh, that is such a sad disarray. But I know one of the guys that you love as a contributor in the world of gaming news is Mutahar, often known as Some Ordinary Gamers on YouTube, had a strong choice of words about Ubisoft's weekend fiasco. So let's go ahead and take a look.
Now you might be like, wow, this isn't a big deal, Muta. Just sign into your Ubisoft account. Counterpoint. There's a million of these services, okay? It's been 2 years since I signed on to certain services. I'm not even kidding. I didn't even know that I had to sign back into the EA app again because I started to buy EA games through Steam. And then, of course, the problem was, oh shit, I'm putting on 2 condoms to play this video game. I got the Steam launcher, then I got the EA launcher, okay? And then I got my sanity to go through. Yeah, it's a wild world we live in, okay?
I kind of had a hard time believing that that's really the case. You bought an EA game on Steam, and you're telling me that, if I haven't jumped on Madden in, 2 years, and that's my only EA game, my account can get locked out. I have a hard time believing that's true.
The thing is, like he's saying with the whole, crazy analogy about the 2 condoms thing, there's a lot of EA games. Like I think that Titanfall 2 does this. I don't think Apex does in the same way, but like with Titanfall 2, when you first launch it, even if you bought it on Steam, it has you open up this like little window, which is basically just the Origin launcher or the EA app. Sorry,
Yeah.
they changed it
Yeah,
now.
right.
And then you log in there and you go about playing the game. But it's like, does it need to be that complicated? Could you just take my Steam login information and use that?
Yeah.
Then again, I guess there's the whole issue then of like, oh, well, if you already had an EA account and you had some progress on there, is that going to transfer over to your Steam account?
See,
Unless we do an integration like logging into your EA account as well. And it just makes everything
It makes
complicated
it very
because
complicated.
everyone wanted to have their own launcher.
Right. It's so true. But I was unable to find anything like regarding, account closure for inactivity in Ubisoft's, US term of use or its end user license agreement. But the company does have reserved the rights to suspend or end services at any time. I know people are probably on here going, why the hell are you standing up for a corporation like this? I'm just telling you, fam. There's literally a support page titled "Closure of Inactive Ubisoft Accounts," and what it says here is we may also close long-term inactive accounts to maintain our database. You will be notified by email if we begin the process of closing your inactive accounts. And what I gotta make very, very clear with gamers is what Ubisoft is not doing is saying, hey, you played our game, today. You haven't played for a full month, 30 days go by. They're not going to just immediately send you the email and go, you better log in, you're going to log out. Like, that's the only thing that's not clear. No one really knows what the time window is, whether it's 6 months, 1 year, 2 years. My internal guessing is saying it's got to be at least a year, and then they send it. But the problem is how these email was written out in that tweet. It almost feels like it could be dropped in your spam folder, and you might never see it, and then you might be potentially screwed. And yeah, I mean, if you want to be the guy that supports physical copies, cool. But we talked about 2 weeks ago how a retro video game store is moving on because he doesn't want to admit, but physical copies are just not there. The hype's not really there anymore. But then again, I don't know how you feel, HenricK.
Well, not to mention, I think there's something to be said about how it is on PC compared to console as well when it comes to this sort of thing, because I think that this discussion really is about the PC or not Origin, Ubisoft launcher, where, it is actually all digital, and PC itself, there is no physical games to buy. Like, you can't go into a store and like a GameStop and be like, I want to buy this game for PC. No, you're ending up having to buy that on a digital storefront, whether it be Steam or something else. So at that point, it's like, well, if I wanted to play an Ubisoft game and, I forget about it. I finish it and I no longer want to play it. But then, a few years down the line, I want to play it. And for whatever reason, my account got closed because of inactivity, and I never saw the email because it ended up going in my spam folder, or I thought it was a phishing scheme.
Yeah, that's true
because
too.
it definitely does look like it.
But then again, I mean, are we really like our baby boomer parents? I mean, is it really not that hard to like just look at the email address and confirm whether it's legit or not?
Well, that's if you're even checking the email.
Oh, come on, we're not doing that as millennials? Oh, okay.
But here's the thing, Chris. I only get email notifications on my phone from my primary, because I use Google Mail, from my primary folder. Anything that gets into the spam folder, the social folder, and the promotions folder, I don't get notifications about. So if it goes to one of those three, I'm not going to see it. Unless I go in manually and check, obviously. But like, if someone's like me and doesn't get notifications for that sort of thing, and it ends up in the wrong folder for whatever reason, they could potentially lose all their games that they did pay for. And unfortunately, the thing about digital on PC is a lot of times, unless there's a sale going on, it's kind of going to be full price.
Yeah. I mean, that's the truth. I mean, imagine if you bought Assassin's Creed on like day one, you know, $65, $70, and then you want to go and revisit that game 20 years down the road or whatever.
Well, for that one, you couldn't anyways in the first place if you wanted to do the multiplayer stuff because they took that down
No, I'm
already
just
last
saying
year.
like the story mode.
But-
you know,
but I know
yeah,
what you
know,
mean.
like the story mode aesthetic.
Yeah.
If you want to go and revisit a game, like, you know, it could potentially be gone. But, you know, Ubisoft is kind of clapping back. They're saying, no, guys, we're not deleting the game. But what do you call closing an inactive account? Permanently deleting your access to your game.
Deleting the game.
So, like,
come on.
what merit do they have to stand on? Like, why are they even playing this, like, this stupid fucking, excuse my language, wordplay, you know, with all of this? It's a conundrum, and it's so unfortunate, and hopefully Ubisoft corrects their wrongs, and I have a good feeling they will, but we're just gonna have to stay tuned and see what's good. But
Yeah,
HenricK,
but the viewers, let us know what you think. Would you be okay with them sending this to you in the first place, or would you scramble to get logged back in, or would you even be able to log back in considering there's so many passwords for everything? So let us know.
yeah, you don't have an iPhone app. You ever see those ads on Instagram? They're like, hey, download our app. We'll help you organize your bills. Did you know how many services you're on? Well, there's nothing like that when it comes to gaming or even on Discord, for example. But hey,
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
That's true. Not as of yet. But, you know, like we said on the top of the show, there was a massive Call of Duty 3 leak where we got the poster, which looked like a complete ripoff of the font for Black Ops 3. But that's not what we're talking about. We're going to be talking about another leak. So what is it, HenricK?
Well, so Sony recently, I think in their Sony PlayStation showcase, they announced this controller, which is basically just a controller with a screen slapped on it, and said, yeah, you can buy this and you'd be able to stream your games from your console at home.
I love the.
You could be on the toilet.
I'm sorry,
or you could
I have
be
to
in the
cut
bed.
you up, and I'll let you continue. I love the pettiness. Continue. Just continue. I love it.
You could stream the game from your console while you're on the toilet or on the bed, and you could sit there, you know, looking at the screen, playing, you know, whatever game, Final Fantasy 16 maybe. But what's funny about it is people already clowned it. We're already like, you guys are copying Nintendo's homework basically with the Wii U here and with the Switch, except that you can't even take the controllers off the screen. It's the tablet with the controller glued onto it, essentially. Yeah. And so there's a leak video showing that you know, hardware in action running Android, just like a phone would, and people were a little excited about it. Also not for some reasons. But some people were excited mostly because they were like, oh, maybe I'd be able to actually, you know, jailbreak it and get it out of, you know, its intended functionality. But then when you open it, there's not really anything inside of it. So you you're kind of expecting a little too much from it.
Well,
we do have that video.
Yeah, I definitely
got to
look at what was called Sony Project Q. It was first introduced in May during the PlayStation Showcase. But now we have a better understanding of what this system is all about.
I can't be excited for it. I'm
sorry. I was not excited when I heard that, you know, well, I guess it's kind of cool that it's running on a basic Android OS device. And I mean, someone here still was rocking an Android. But but that's for a topic for another time. But yeah, like you said, I mean, people saw this. They weren't necessarily jazzed. One person wrote here in the comments, Sony needs a handheld that can download and emulate PS1 to PS4 games with the option of streaming or remotely playing PS5 games. Hello? It's called PS Premium, dude. The next comment wrote, not that interested in buying one. Would have loved a real handheld like the Vita, especially seeing what it's like. People clearly still love handhelds when you look at the Switch and Steam Deck. Thanks for covering it, my guy. We got you. Also, very curious on the price of Project Q. I'd be surprised if it's under $200, but around 150, I might be. I'd be interested. I just, you informed me about something that I totally forgot when it came to Sony's new premium controller that they just introduced. Do you remember what that price tag was, HenricK?
Oh yeah, for the DualSense Edge, it is $200.
Holy
So if that controller, which doesn't even have a screen, is $200, you can imagine this is probably going to be over $200. Which at that point, I'd say it's not worth it.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
I mean, well, especially considering how Project Q is. You can't just like go to the airport. You can't just like bring this device over to your friend's house and start connecting it onto his Wi-Fi device. It's remote play. So how remote play works is you have to be in the similar facility of where your PS5 console is at. Then they Bluetooth together, and then that's how you can go and walk away from your console that's maybe set up in the living room and play it in your bedroom. How are they ever going to leverage gamers to want to buy this if you can just go get the ROG Ally or the Steam Deck? I mean, and the last I recall, people with the Steam Deck are having some fun jailbreaking it. So, I mean, why would you jump on the hype train for the Sony Project Q? I just feel like it's a total dud.
No, absolutely. That is the whole reason why I will not be getting one, because I have a Steam Deck, and I think that that's better value there. Because if you think about it, if this is over $200, say if it's like $250 or something, the Steam Deck at its lowest configuration is $399. At that point, you might as well save the extra money that you're not spending to go get a Steam Deck where you can actually play the games on the go. And if you do want to actually be able to stream your games from your PC to the Steam Deck, you can still do that.
Yeah.
It's not like that isn't a functionality that isn't available to you. Plus, like you were saying, people are the community's been very active about the Steam Deck, and there's lots of community support for things like emulating games. Because we did talk about that earlier, so that is a topic. But there's just so much you can do with the Steam Deck at $399, and the value actually is $399. Plus, they have sales. They just had a sale
massive
for the
Steam
summer sale.
Yeah.
So like, it just seems like a much better value than spending over $200 on this. Now, if it's miraculously, if it's less than $200, then we're talking about maybe there being some value. But I just don't see it being less than 200.
It's just the unfortunate thing that, tech companies like Apple, for example, with the Vision Pro, their new VR device, they wanted $3,500. And you're like, dude, like, what kid or what millennial adult even has $3,500 to throw down on? I mean, I'd rather go and get myself a nice used car for $3,500.
You can go into debt with that.
Or I'd rather
money.
get a PC, like a suited up PC for that kind of money. And so I don't know where this business model comes from, where they feel like they just got to ramp up prices like crazy, where only the selective few will buy it just because they're like collectible junkies. I have no idea. Why would you even spend your dinero on something like this? But if it got a little bit more crunched down to like maybe $150, some people might jump on the hype train, but I have a feeling, and I think we're on the same agreement, it's going to easily be like 300 plus.
I think so.
Probably.
But I would say even, if it is in that 150 price range, I see this as something that probably someone would buy and then either return it because they realize, maybe it's not really something that I want to take advantage of. Or if they miss their return period or if they forget about it, they're going to play for a little bit with it, and then it's going to go on the shelf.
You know what I would say, HenricK? I know, like, for Arkham Knights, for example, I know we've talked about this numerous times on the show where people hate where they do an announcement and then they delay it. This is one of those examples where I actually would love if Sony heard the feedback and actually held back on releasing the device and, potentially in the wintertime so they can update their device where it can be on the go. Then, if that's the case, would be celebrated.
No, because they definitely could do that. Like they could easily take the internals of that, swap it out with beefier internals, like an actual tablet, maybe even. That way you can actually play games on the go with this device rather than just being stuck at home.
Yeah, because this thing is like the equivalent of like an iPod Shuffle now becoming an iPhone.
Exactly.
If you did be able to let it go on the go. So hey, listen, that's Project Q for you. If this is something for you, let us know, gamers. But hey, the last topic that we're going to be talking about, HenricK, is Blizzard. They have been feeling the wrath among Diablo 4 players as the developers out of nowhere thought it was a good idea to develop a nerf patch. Gamers just love nerf patches. Not. But they were incredibly upset by these turn of events, and the comments were especially active. The first person that wrote about this Diablo 4 nerf patch is Diablo 4 patch notes. Reduce all fun by 50%. Number 2, Blizzard straight up killed Diablo 4 in a single patch. I don't know what the hell the team is thinking, but this patch is completely out of touch with the player base. Path of Exile 2 has the perfect change right now to steal so many players. Laughing my butt off. What a shit show. And also, trying to make interesting builds in Diablo 4, and then the patch notes arrives. I'm limited by the technology of my time. So that kind of made me laugh. I know community chief Adam Fletcher spoke during a live stream Diablo 4 campfire chat saying, quote, "It's not the greatest play experience for players out there. We don't plan on doing a patch like this ever again. We hear you loud and clear." Sometimes they hit, sometimes they miss. Have we learned by now? I mean, I know even in like the Call of Duty world, when we played at the top of the show, where the guy got 72 kills, people were like, nerf that guy's gun. Or, nerf it where like if you're going to be jumping around with all these jumping abilities, make it so he has to have like a little bit of a window to rejuvenate the energy again, so he's not jumping around like he's playing Titanfall. So, it's about 50-50 on a level when it comes to nerfing, but me personally, it's like if something works, why touch it? You've been playing Diablo 4, correct?
A little bit here and there, yeah. I kind of fell off after the launch because it didn't really, interest me to keep going.
Well, did you feel like the game was easy? Because that was one of the biggest things that the developers were arguing about when they first dropped this patch. They just wanted people to feel like you achieved level 100. They didn't want to make it feel like a job, but then that's what gamers are bitching about. They're like, nah, dude, you literally just turned the game into a job. And
yeah, exactly. Like I don't think that it was really easy to get to level 100 because, there's a lot of work that needs to be put into that, a lot of time specifically going through dungeons and doing content just to get enough experience points to get to level 100. Now, getting through the campaign and all that, like the main stuff, that wasn't too hard at all. But it's weirdly when you get to the end game when the challenge came around.
Yeah, do you think they were petty when they found out? Like, remember on like less than 24 hours into the release, like someone got to level 100? Like, how does that even happen? Do you think that they were petty over stuff like that? Being like, dude, we're trying to pride ourselves on creating like the next best installment to our franchise. And then when we see someone less than 24 hours already make a mockery on a level of the game, that's why they felt like they needed to tweak it. But they forget that not everybody's like that guy or girl.
Exactly. Like that's always the issue with these nerfs. It's like Apex suffers from the same thing. The pro community is like, oh, this is too easy. And then the majority people are fine with it, but they only listen to the people at the very top. Like this guy, who got to level 100 so quickly, they're only looking at that outlier. Whereas the majority of people were not at level 100 very easily. Like it took a while for a lot of people to get up there. So like, why are you going to make changes based off of the 1% of people at the very top in a game like this? Like, it just doesn't make sense because now you're making the rest of the community just suffer because of this one person.
Yeah, I mean, that's so true. But I even know that there was a clip back in 2021 that is being recirculating again because of this conversation. And former Blizzard World of Warcraft 3 level designer named David Fried went viral, like I was saying, because, his favorite developer company that you knew and loved, he claims is long gone.
What do you think the future holds for Blizzard? Is its ship sinking, or has the sun not yet set on the Blizzard Empire? Well, Blizzard is dead. It is a corpse. It is a corpse being puppeteered by Activision and Bobby Kotick. And it's going to be used as basically a factory to put the Blizzard stamp on things and stoke nostalgia to get sales. And that's it. That's it. So stop holding out hope that Blizzard is going to come back. Everyone who founded Blizzard, all the principles that Blizzard was founded on, they're gone or they're dead. No one died. Sorry, the principles are dead. No one died. Principles that Blizzard was founded upon are dead.
I know designer David has his own YouTube channel, but that music's killing me, man. It's killing me, dude. You can tell he's a level designer. Yeah, he's getting like so serious, like so sentiment, and then he's like, it's no longer there. It's dead.
Dun,
really?
dun.
I don't know. I mean, the last I recall, this was like one of the fastest selling games for Activision Blizzard when it comes to this franchise. So some people would argue, but then again, you know, gamers of the now were especially active in the comments, where one person wrote, if it's not already dead, there's a very good chance it will be once Xbox puts it on the Game Pass touch on it. Does that even have any merit to stand on? I mean, I'm in favor of cloud gaming. I like cloud gaming especially, so I don't know where the diss is. Another person wrote, that's usually how time works. People leave and the company from 20 years ago is no more. Like the Bungie today is not the same company that made the Halo trilogy. Most moved on. That's just
Very
life.
true.
And lastly, World of Warcraft veterans know this better than anyone. The game is a shell of its former self, and it's all started going downhill with the Activision merger. Well, obviously that's not the case if this is what the guy was saying back in 2021. So everybody's always going to constantly complain that something's going wrong. And I mean, can't people take some fault? I mean, yeah, it was cheesy that they called it like a campfire chat. You know, come and join us for a campfire chat. Like no one's like, gives a shit. They're just like, please just give us the new patch 1.1.1, which is supposedly promised to drop this Friday. There's no confirmation as of yet, but do you believe in that analogy that, you know, this former Blizzard employee was saying, and others that, you know, what it kind of reminds me of, like what people say, you know, in the world of film, for example, they go, you can buy the IP, you can buy the script, but you can't buy the talent. You know, the script writer might write the piece, but then once it gets handed over to the producer and the director, usually how it works is that script writer has zero say anymore. That script is bought. It's gone away. So now that Microsoft has acquired Activision Blizzard, is it really that the case?
I mean, Blizzard's been in that position already for a while now, where a lot of people think, okay, Blizzard is dead. Like the Blizzard we knew, at least growing up, is dead, which was a company that you could look at and be like, that is a company for the community of gamers that want to make games that they play themselves, that they enjoy to play, that they want gamers to enjoy to play. And there's none of the little conniving, scheming people in the background being like, we're going to make them pay a little bit more right now for some skins, you know, things like that. It's like, you didn't have all that going on in the background. Granted, the gaming landscape was a little bit different back then when Blizzard first launched, because you didn't have things like microtransactions driving the industry forward with profits. You didn't have things like that. So you had to make a game that would actually sell well. Otherwise, you weren't going to make a profit on your game, because you'd have so much time and effort and money put into the development that if it flops, all of a sudden you just lost a big investment. So I think that's part of it as well. Just the industry has changed and Blizzard has tried to stay with the times, but unfortunately in doing so, they kind of fell into the trap of not really focusing on the game itself and focusing more on things like the monetization aspect of things, which
good point.
I guess at the end of the day, it is a corporation, so they do have to make a profit for their shareholders.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you could still do that and still make a game that is enjoyable. And, you know, Diablo 4 was, for a lot of people, that return to form for Blizzard, where it was like, okay, this game came out, it's good, it's enjoyable, I'm having fun, my friends are having fun, we're all having fun. And then now this patch comes out and like half the game is just unplayable unless you do the specific builds that are not fun to a lot of people.
Yeah.
And at that point, the game isn't fun to play anymore. So why continue to play it? And like that commenter had said, I think that the people who have stuck with World of Warcraft the longest from the beginning to the end know that the most, because like the game, it definitely is a shell of its former self. Like they did bring in the whole classic era where they brought back the original form of the game, but even then, like the game itself, it's moving forward in the current expansions. And when you compare what is current to the original version of the game, it's like night and day. And it's so different. It's a completely different game. And Blizzard's been at that point already where, like I was saying, I'm on the fence of saying that Blizzard is dead. The game comes.
Man, that's strong words right there. Okay.
People are now seeing just more and more things about them come out because the people
you have zero faith in our generation, finally stepping into the forefront of potentially Activision Blizzard. You think, just because the older cats like the Gen Xers, kicking it back on the wall, smoking their stogies, kind of viewing us out from the outside like, see, we told y'all. You wanted to be like us, baby.
If anything is going to make a difference in how Blizzard is run right now, it's the fact that Microsoft bought them. That's the only thing
that's your concern?
Well, I'm saying that's the only thing that could redeem them at this point. If Microsoft steps in and decides, okay, we got to shake things up a little bit here in terms of how things are run, because it hasn't been working. The fan reception has just been going down the drain ever since the Activision merger. So like we have to change things. At the same time though, can I really trust Microsoft to do a good job with that? I'm not sure, considering, and this is a completely different topic, but considering how badly they handled the Halo franchise, which is supposed to be their flagship franchise, I don't know if I could trust Microsoft either with handling the reins.
Well, maybe they got to treat it like the studio company that did Amnesia: The Bunker. Like they just announced like last week that they're actually going to be stepping away from releasing horror games in the future. They kind of want to try to do something a little bit different from what they're known to be. Maybe that's what Activision Blizzard needs to do. We already know World of Warcraft. We've got way too many renditions. We got way too many renditions of the Diablo franchise. Maybe we need to put a new IP into the arsenal. And I have faith that Microsoft is going to be pushing for that because, again, Activision Blizzard has kind of been the standard for like the last 20 years. So me personally, I don't think they're dead. I don't think I do know that they're on this side of the dirt, Henrik.
Yeah.
So, so hopefully, they can make something out of it. But then again, it's definitely okay to be skeptical. But hey, fam, this has been great. I don't know. Do you have anything else that you want to say on this, Henrik?
I mean, I agree with you. I think that they do need to come up with some new IP to release. It's going to be a long time before that comes out, considering how long it would take to make something new. But I think they definitely need to come up with something new because at this point, people have a certain expectation out of the IPs that they already have and they're maintaining. So if they try to pull another thing, people are going to be too hyped for it and they're going to not feel that hype properly.
Yeah. It's very true, and we definitely always want to hear from you gamers that are joining us live every Tuesday at 10 a.m. because this show wouldn't be possible without you guys. So we can't thank you guys so much. I had an amazing time, coming back. I mean, I know usually like myself, I don't like to take breaks. I love to keep the shows going every week, but everybody needs a great vacation like you did, HenricK the Wreck. So I'm very glad you had that opportunity in Colorado, but now it's time to rock and roll. But we are at the tail end of the show, so we do want to thank everybody for tuning in to Rage Quit Video Game Talk Show. So make sure you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you never miss a live show. And HenricK, let's get the people following your YouTube page. Where can they find you, my man?
Yeah, so I post videos on the YouTube channel that I have called HenricK the Wreck. You can find me on there at HenricK. And on there, I'll post our live shows, clips from the live show, things from the pause and repeat that we did earlier in the show. And I do want to also start posting a bit more things. So I'm going to be working on that, like little mini series, like, hey, recommending this game, go check it out, things like that. So
Hey, man,
I
a
want
lot
to
of
get
things are
into the
cooking up.
rhythm of doing that as well.
Oh, I know
And
you will. I
yeah,
keep
and
cutting you off.
you
You're
can
like, Chris, shut the fuck. Stop it, man. This is supposed to be my time.
You can also follow me on Instagram and TikTok and Twitter, and I'll be posting things on there too. Probably a lot of the same content, but on Twitter, I do retweet a lot of memes that I come across. I do follow a lot of meme lords on
Oh,
Twitter.
you're the
so.
meme machine. Oh, look at you, Pikachu. He's trying to catch them all. Okay, I see you. Yeah, no, it's really cool. HenricK's been pumping out a lot of great material. We got a lot of exciting things ramping up all over our YouTube channels, and we're just so blessed to have you guys joining us every Tuesday at 10 a.m. And I can't thank you guys enough. And it's been so much fun, but it's time to say hasta la vista, and we will see you next week, fam.
Yep, we'll see you next week. Thanks for joining us.
That's right, baby. Peace.